Well, welcome back, WL Rodriguez. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you so much, Ron. It's always a great pleasure talking to you, meeting again all these beautiful and amazing people here from the channel.
Yes, and your last episode was viewed quite a bit, and I found that a lot of people really liked it. There was a lot of engagement, and I would encourage anybody who's listening to this right now to go back to that. I'll save the link down below, and this is where WL shares a little bit about his story, about how he came to be a channeler, and I think it's amazing. I would recommend anybody who hasn't heard that to go back and listen to that part. But today, we really want to deep dive into some other topics. And yeah, and then also the fact we'll share this at the end, but WL has just launched another book. It's book number 14, which, what is it called again? What's
The Forgotten Steps.
the Forgotten Steps? So I'm going to make sure I get that one on my list too, because I want to read that one. But before we dive in, the biggest ask that we always have is please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because that way you'll know every time something comes up, and you'll notice down below the Spirit Files, which is WL Rodriguez's YouTube channel, is also down below. So please like and subscribe his channel if you haven't, because he's sharing a lot of great information, especially during these times that we're in. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. So, well, WL, I guess part of the excitement is you never stop channeling, more information comes up. And so some of these key ones that we discussed, like what is planetary transition, who's affected and how, when did it start, when will it end, what are the characteristics, and what should we expect? I know I asked all four of those at the beginning, and we'll probably have some other things as we go forth, but if you could share with the channeling that you've received, and again, I know you receive a lot from the Galactic Federation of Light, and I might just say the Galactics, right? If you can share based on these questions and anything else they want us to know, um, what is coming up?
Yeah, of course. So I think that before we start, I think it's good to understand what this planetary transition is, right?
Yes.
Um, so right, Earth, well, better saying, every planet, every orb goes through different stages,
Hmm.
and Earth, the same thing. So right now, we are in a stage that is called a world of trials and expiations. That means that we are living uh, in in a society where we are there's a lot going on. We can see that all around us, not only this year or the past 5 years, but since quite a while, right? We have a lot of technological breakthroughs, a lot of things going on. So, but also we are not perfect beings, right? There's a lot for us to still learn. And that's where we have, since the beginning here of this of our evolution on this planet, we have come here incarnating on this earth to learn one simple thing: how to love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why how we have I won't say failed miserably, because we have evolved a lot, but every time we come here, we learn a little bit more and a little bit more. The issue, Ron, is that every time that we come here and we try to learn how to love, we also make mistakes, right? Some are small, some are pretty big.
Mm.
And at some point, we need to correct this. We need, I don't like the word pay for this because
Mm.
it's not much like that, but we need to make sure that we can add some balance to what we did,
Mhm.
right? So let's say that I robbed a lot of people, in a past life,
Yeah.
and I got rich with that. And well, I mean, at some point, I should be able to give it back to people, maybe in this incarnation, my next one,
Mhm.
or but at some point, I should balance this situation.
Mhm.
That's the point. And that's where the trials and expiations come from. Expiations, in the sense that whatever we did wrong, now it's time for us to correct or to make it better. Trials, in the sense that, well, am I now evolved enough to go through a certain specific situation? So can I, let's say, have I, uh, can I go through a very a very painful experience, for example, and can I keep my faith through that experience? Or maybe there is a situation at my job where I could feel envy or be jealous, and am I ready to not feel that kind of feeling?
Mhm.
Have so all that kind of situations where you are, before incarnating, you might have challenged yourself.
Mhm.
And well, sometimes we pass the trial, sometimes we don't. But that's part of this school, this ongoing school. So this is a world of trial and expiations. We always come here in this cycle trying to be better. We are right now at getting to a stage of the end of this era of trials and expiations, and we're moving towards a new type of Earth that is a world of regeneration.
Regeneration. Okay.
Regeneration. In the world of regeneration, that's when we now try to really balance things.
Mhm.
Where we are sufficiently evolved to do less mistakes. We're not perfect, right, yet, but let's compare ourselves to what we were 300 years ago, 500 years ago, right? So we are better beings in the majority of our population. So now we're ready to start rebuilding and do all these better things on Earth. And that's the word of regeneration, or what is being called through the series New Earth. This, well, this transition doesn't happen, let's say, in a snap, right? It's not something abrupt. It is a gradual process. So it is started I'm sorry. It started back mid the 19th century, and it's ongoing until we get to the 2050s. Okay. If we go back to the mid 20th century, that's when we see a lot of paranormal activity
Mhm.
popping up. We can see that through books, through newspapers from the time. There were even events for that. We see that through the movies, right? So
Yeah.
if we look at the mid 19th century, that's what we see, all that mysticism, right, happening at the same time. There are a couple events, or people, better saying, that are worth mentioning. The
Okay.
first one is Helena Blavatsky,
Yeah.
right? So her work started to shape what was called New Age, or the modern esotericism, right?
Yeah.
So that it was very important. Another one that was in France, there was a French educator named Hippolyte Léon Denisard Rivail. He was known as Alain Kardec.
Okay.
So he compiled what is called Spiritist codification, where he did some several experiments in terms of communicating with spirits, and he was able to put that into books.
Yeah.
So, and we saw several other several things happening during that time, right? Well, at that same moment, that was brought through, I don't remember now which book, but in one of the books, there was a message that mentioned that the Galactic Federation started to arrive on Earth around that, by that time. Okay.
In you said like the mid 1900s.
The mid 19, yes.
Okay.
Not 1900s, but the mid 1800s.
The
So
mid 1800s.
yeah,
Okay.
because yeah, the 19th century, right?
19th
So
century. Yep.
yeah. So during that moment, they came here to, not the first time that they were here, but this time they came to start helping, assisting us through this planetary transition. Okay.
Yep.
Well, what do we see during this kind of planetary transition? We see major breakthroughs in terms of evolution,
Hmm.
not only moral, but also in terms of technology mainly. And we can see a lot of um, weather related or nature related events.
Hmm.
We can see wars popping up, and that's when we saw World War I, World War II, and all other major and conflicts that happened and are happening across the globe. Right? We saw. I, I don't think the platform here likes this word, but the health emergency situation from 2020,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
or 2019.
Yeah.
So that kind of event also, um, and basically, if we would draw an intensity graph, let me put it this way, we would see something like a bell shaped graph, right?
Okay.
If we move through time. So things start slowly and then starts ramping up. Then we get to a peak,
Yeah.
and then things start to slow down and, get back to normal.
Yeah.
So that period took like two about takes about 200 years.
Hmm.
Okay. So we started back then. It is planned to be concluded by end of 2050s.
2050. Okay.
Yeah, the not 2050, but the end of that decade,
Okay.
right?
That decade. Yep.
Yeah. So right now we are at a very crucial point in
Hmm.
time where we are, well, the the Galactic Federation and the spirits, they call it the final years of the old Earth cycle. That
Okay.
would be 2026 until 2028.
Okay.
2028 is the year that they mentioned that is the official year when we step into new Earth.
Yeah.
But again, this is something that is gradual. It's not that what it during when we go into the new year, then we have heaven on earth, right? We have
Yeah.
paradise and everything is,
It's not like a
beautiful.
sudden walking out of one room into the other like that. It's not like a drastic, instantaneous change.
Exactly. So it's not like that. We're not going
Okay.
through something drastic, right? But we will see that starting at that point, things will start to get better
Hmm.
and better and better and better, right?
Nice.
Um, in the in the 20 they mentioned that during in 2028, that's where this the frequency of love and light will start to begin to multiply more rapidly.
Okay.
And by the 2050s, probably more to the end of the 2050s, that's when we get closure of that transition. But still, we will be at the very beginning of the world of regeneration.
I see.
So, but there will be a lot of stuff to do. And let's say that for us to be in a better position, a much better position, it would take 200 years, something like that.
Hmm.
But like I said, it's a gradual process. Nothing happens like in a snap in nature.
Yeah.
So until we have all this cycle, all this bell graph completed, right? A lot will happen, still happen. A lot
Yeah.
happened already, and we'll see a lot happening. So, and those are called the physical, that's called the physical awakening process,
Okay.
where we will, we are invited to release our fears, our anger, our low vibrations, so we can be renewed for new earth. We can
Hmm.
be ready. We can be, yes, better saying, we can be ready for new earth. Okay. So, what should we expect during this physical awakening, right? Or this planetary transition part? Imagine this, Ron, that we are all invited to do good. Like I said, our main goal is to learn how to love.
Yeah.
And when we get here, we we don't know, we don't remember that we are here to do that.
Hmm.
We are always invited to do that. um, and sometimes we just need a whisper to say, "Hey, why don't you start loving people? Why don't you start being better?" And we say, "Oh, okay, I have an idea. I can start doing this, this, and that." And you can, you
Hmm.
start going through that correct path. Others, they need someone to say a little bit louder and say, "Hey, Wagner, hey, Ron,
Yeah.
can you do me a favor? Can you start being better?" Right? And then we hear that and they say, "Oh, okay, I hear you. Okay, now it's time to do it." And there are people where we need to use I don't know, a huge sound system or a megaphone and say, Ron Wagner, can
Yeah.
you please do it? Right? And then we need to turn that volume to the maximum.
Hmm.
And then that people will say, oh, okay, now I'm ready. I can start doing it. And that's where we are. We are at a point where those simple whispers, they're in the past. We are now at the maximum volume where people are going to be shaken
Yeah.
so we can go through our awakening.
So, yeah, so that makes perfect sense, which explains why we have a lot of events and chaos and things that are going on the planet. And I'm sure to many people that are listening, there might be some things that are starting to shake up to wake up, I guess you call it, shaking up in their own life, where once we were relying on whatever it was we were relying on. Maybe it was a partner, maybe it was a job, maybe it was a a system, because we have so many systems, and then
Mhm.
suddenly something's being changed there, which is uncomfortable. It's yeah. So from what you're sharing makes total sense because I'm seeing that for sure.
Yeah. And the key word you just said, uncomfortable,
Mm,
because we are in our comfort zones. And there are these events that will happen that will just take us out, shake us and take us out of that comfort zone.
mm.
And that's when we're going to say, oh, okay, I'm now starting to face my faith, not saying Christianity, but any faith. Well, what
Yep.
makes me better, a better person? And it can be in many ways. We can be shaken by suddenly losing our jobs,
Hmm.
or someone that is very dear to us. That person may die,
Hmm.
or we might go through financial issues. We might be now in the middle of a war. You know, a
Or a
lot
health
of things.
a health
Yeah,
crisis too. Yeah. Yep.
a health crisis. Anything can happen.
Yep.
But what is important is that what you need to go through is the right thing for you to go through.
Mm,
It's not that your cross is larger than your neighbor's or it's smaller than
mm,
someone else. You have the perfect size for you to go forward, right? So you're going to learn what you need to learn.
mhm.
And this is important because, like I said, a lot will go on here on this planet. And maybe your challenge, your moment of awakening may not be of suffering,
Mhm.
but may be of assistance. For example, let me say that, let me say that I lose my job,
Mhm.
and then I'm now going through, I'm having a hard time putting food on my, in my home, and then a friend of mine, he looks at that situation and say, hey, here is, some food, for you to, spend, during these 3 days or whatever.
Yeah,
That exercise of assistance is also part of the major event.
I see.
So we have the opportunity. It's not because we are not being affected directly that we're not here to help.
Yeah,
It's not because we are in the middle of a financial crisis that I cannot help those who are.
yeah,
If my health is perfect, maybe I can help those that are going through some health issues,
Okay,
right?
that makes
So,
sense. Yeah.
yeah. So all of that is part of this process of physical awakening. We we can also part of this physical. There are a lot of things that might happen here. For example, here in Oklahoma, we have tornadoes, right? In
Hmm.
Florida, there are hurricanes,
Yeah.
right? Cyclones in other part of the world. Um, at some point, they mentioned that the 2026 season, we should expect it to be more intense for hurricanes, cyclones, and tornadoes. All these
Hmm.
these weather events. So they also mentioned that there will be a lot of trials through fire and water.
Okay.
So that means at one side you might see, you know, a lot of land burning, because it's so dry, and at the other in another part of the country or another part of the world, we have intense rain, you
Hmm.
know. So that is also part of this physical awakening situation. A lot of it's also time where the old earth starts to crumble.
Hmm.
And part of that can be like masks falling.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we have seen recently that happening with the Epstein files, for example.
Yep.
A lot of people that we admired, and now we see, involved in some uh, uninteresting stuff.
Yeah, I feel there's going to
Really?
be a lot more coming out that hasn't come out yet
Yeah,
around that subject matter.
yeah,
And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised because we all think it's going to be the politicians and maybe a few celebrities. I think, and I'm sure the Galactics probably shared a lot with you, but I feel that many people that are on a big stage, whatever area, and even in religion and spirituality, could possibly also be within that
yeah.
revelation or exposure or whatever mask you said masks coming off. So
Hmm.
so yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but please go on and share. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're totally right. And I mean, not necessarily, let's say, the big fish, but also people around us
Hmm.
that maybe we thought that, they were something and they are something else.
Yeah.
So things will start to be more transparent
Okay.
in general, right?
In that transparency, without taking you off course,
Hmm.
will anything related to the uh and we don't have to go there right now, but anything related to more exposure around the extraterrestrials, specifically the ones that are, I know we all like to say the good guys and the bad guys, right? But specifically around the ones that were probably the low energy or the low vibration consciousness, um, without saying reptiles, but you know what I mean. Will any
Hmm.
of that start to come out as well within an exposure eventually?
Yeah, that would be my exact next topic. So
Okay.
you read my mind. So yes, we are going through also an age of disclosure, right?
Yeah.
We have seen, let's say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if we started talking about the same topics that we're talking this year,
Yeah.
people would openly laugh at your face, right? They
Right.
would
Yeah.
call you nuts, call you crazy. And now these are real things,
Mm.
things that you turn the TV on and you see on the news, right? And major people coming up and talking about that openly, right? The this what the Galactic Federation says is that, well, it is good that this all is happening right now because it starts to open our minds
Hmm.
that we're not the only civilization, in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
There, the galaxy, the hyper universe is a pretty big place.
Mm.
So that starts to open our minds. The other thing is that it happens to rewrite religious beliefs, old religious beliefs.
Hmm.
That's always said that we were the only, we, God's creation, something around
Yep.
those lines, right? Also, part of masks falling because we now start to see, hey, people were hiding all this stuff from us for quite a while,
Yeah.
right? And also, they mentioned that there are some obscure purposes behind this initiative that they are trying to divert our attention to this with this. It's just like, hey, you have a new toy, right? So you get that toy and now you're playing with that, and whatever was happening here, you don't care anymore, right? So they mentioned that this is what people are trying to do.
So when
Also,
you say that, is that like all of a sudden a news story is created to be create a lot of attention? Uh, that may be a diversion from what's really going on, or
yes, yes,
okay,
it is more towards a diversion, and the other goal here is to increase expenditure in war, right?
okay,
So now we have maybe a new enemy that is more powerful than my other enemy
yeah,
here on Earth. And now I need to develop, all this new technology on these new, missiles or whatever. Now I need to do all this to, because that guy from space is now a threat.
okay,
So they just, and that's where the Galactic Federation says, well, just be careful with that kind of approach. Don't get involved because uh, they're not going to talk about the Galactic Federation right now. They're going to talk about the Greys, or reptilians or whoever,
yep,
but they are going to focus on the negative side and try uh, to manipulate you to think that, well, aliens are bad.
yeah,
And actually, that's what I usually tell everyone. We cannot just take two boxes and say either aliens are good or aliens are bad.
yeah.
Can we do that with humanity?
You're right. Good example. Yeah, it's
We can't. We can't say
yeah,
that humanity is good or bad because there are gazillion shades of gray in between,
yes,
right? Same thing with our neighbors. We're our cosmic neighbors. There are those who are, really bad, but there are those that are really good.
hmm,
So, and that's where we need to just, try to avoid putting all of them in the same box, right?
yep, yep. But that being said, like you shared originally, the diversion story or whatever it could be, honestly, I could see that where media controls the minds of the people, especially through fear stories,
Yep.
that could be. something that they're trying to push, but like you said, be careful with giving your power away to that that story.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And because we always have a choice, uh, we can be manipulated or we can choose not to,
Yep.
right? So what they ask is basically, well, just try to be neutral to what is going on around us, right?
Mm.
Not only about the disclosure part, but everything. I mean, because every people might have hidden agendas. They
Mm.
might expose half truths,
Hmm.
so they can benefit from that, right? And you never know. So just be neutral, and if there's something that you feel that is it's not resonating with you, just leave
Yeah.
it there. Don't get involved. Don't, instead of going through, Facebook groups or posts and start, debating, with thousands of lines saying, hey, this is wrong, this is right, and, and blah, blah, blah. Why don't you spend that effort, that time doing something more constructive, right?
Good
You don't
point.
so instead of spending 10 minutes in social media, doing something useless, fruitless, why don't you read a good book?
Yep.
Why don't you try to go to a support group in that same social media where there might be people that are going through depression,
Yep.
and maybe your effort there to make that the life of that person better will make that person better,
Mm.
right? So there are and that's the danger where we are today with all this technology that we have at our hands,
Mm.
that we can virtually do anything, and at the same time we can choose to do nothing,
Hmm.
right? So that's what they one of the major things they say. Just make sure that you're not involved in all these things, right?
And all the
You can
debate and the argument and yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you can go through that. You will be in the middle of that because you're living here in this world, but you don't need to engage into those things, right?
Yeah.
So what is um what is basically the part, how does the Galactic Federation um enter into that puzzle, right?
Yep.
So first thing, like I said, they're here since the beginning to support us, right? So they have been there has been uh, more channeling activity than ever before,
You're right. Yeah.
right? We can see a lot of people talking about the Galactic Federation or channeling good spirits, channeling angels, channeling whatever,
Yep.
than you had, let's say, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, right?
Yeah, I agree. And I would say there's a common thread of truth that's running through all, even though channels will say it a different way. Like what I realized with your material as I've read, some of your books, and of course we've had these conversations, I'm realizing that you bring it through with a lot of clarity, which is good. And at the same time, I don't think you don't see channels arguing, say, no, my way's right, my way's right. You see a common thread delivered differently in some cases, but a common thread of truth that is there.
Exactly. And there are a couple things there. The first one is that nobody owns the truth, the real truth,
Right?
right? I usually say, let me pick this cube, and this is the truth,
Mm.
right? Here, this side of the truth, that's what I am looking at.
Yep.
But you, Ron, you're looking at this part of the truth.
Mm.
Are you looking at the truth? Yes. Am I looking at the truth? Yes.
Yeah.
But do we own the whole truth?
No.
No. Right? And that's why what is happening. I mean, each one of us might have a specific point of view of that truth, and there might be conflicts, of ideas, and that's okay. That's natural. But if the message elevates you, if the message helps you in any way to be a better person, that message is part of that truth, right?
Mm. Good point.
Because there's not only one single way, one single path. There are many to evolve,
Yeah.
right? Um, so that being said, the Galactic Federation, we have seen all these, increasingly channelings, right, from the Galactic Federation. They are here to guide us, to
Hmm.
assist us to become better, to go through this process, to be more ready for New Earth.
Yeah.
They are also assisting in avoiding nuclear warfare, in the sense that if any nation shoots a nuclear weapon towards another one, they will disable that midair.
Okay.
And this is interesting because they said that it is allowed to shoot the weapon, because until the very last moment you have the opportunity to desist. You
Okay.
have the opportunity to say, no, I'm not going to do that.
Mm.
But then well, it's not just the push of a button, but let's say that
Yeah.
once you push the button, then you are now responsible for that act.
Okay.
Okay. So, because if everything is disabled and you can't launch it, I mean, how can you be responsible if you never launched it, right? But
Sure.
if you, and that's where if the missile is launched, it is disabled midair, so it will just be a bunch of junk when it
Yeah.
lands at the other side, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Also, they're assisting because there is um there is a sphere around Earth, if I may put it this way,
Hmm.
created of whatever we eject from our minds in our
Okay.
feelings,
Yeah.
and that is called the psych sphere. It's all around Earth. Of course, that if we emanate good things, we assist the whole planet being a good environment.
Yeah.
But we are not there yet.
Sure.
We're not emanating all of those good things yet. There's a lot of us, we're emanating more bad things than good
Mm.
things at this point. We may, remember, oh, I'm emanating now a good thing. We feel love, we feel, we laugh, but a lot of times we're angry or we are stressed at work,
Mm.
We are concerned about our bank accounts. We
Yeah,
are, well, there are a gazillion things that might happen, and we emanate that towards the environment, right?
yeah.
So, especially now when we are close to the peak of this planetary transition, that happens to everyone, and plus all the pressure, the external pressures that are put around us. Let's say the countries going through inflation, going through hunger, going through war, going through a lot of stuff. So we emanate even more of those bad energies.
Yeah.
So the Galactic Federation also helps containing those energies and trying to filtering those energies as part of the of what they're doing. The other thing that is happening during this planetary transition is a great exodus of souls
Hmm.
to other planets.
Okay. Can you explain that more? You said
Yes.
they would be going to other planets.
Yes.
Okay.
So we when we move to New Earth,
Mhm.
like well, it's not that everyone might be on the same page.
Okay.
Let's say that, well, Ron is great. Ron really learned, that he's here to love. He's trying to do his best. He's moving towards that. But me, I don't care. I just want money. I I just want, I'm just concerned with my car.
Yeah.
I That's what I want. I like gold, and I that's what I want. Well, maybe I'm not resonating with New Earth as the other guys, right?
Hmm.
So I will need to in my next incarnation here. Well, not it won't be here.
Hmm.
So I will be moved to another orb, another
Okay.
planet that is in still in evolving stage that will be more aligned with my vibration.
Okay.
So there are, and this is important because so a lot of people might are not aware of this of what's going on in this case.
I'm glad you're talking about this because this brings up some questions. I don't know if you want me to ask them
Mhm,
now or wait. Okay. So quite often people will say, "Well, I feel like, I've been doing all the work. I feel kind of like I'm on an awakening path or whatever." And I mean, we, we love everybody, right?
mhm,
So, but some people will come to me and say, "I just feel that what's going to happen to my family, right? Are we going to get separated?" Because we hear about this split. And from what you're sharing, it sounds like if we were just to use I guess the words 3D and 5D, if
mhm,
some people really, because their soul needs to go through the 3D experience over and over again, it's almost like, I mean, if I was to relate it to a school, I would say, you know, I need to go through that class again. I need to go through it again. I didn't get it all. So I need to, I'm okay with the fact that put me in an environment where I can at least go through enough so I can figure it out, right? Whereas there might be somebody else that might be in my family that may have already been through that and they've evolved to the point where they're like now they want to go to that next level, which we call that 5D or whatever. Is that basically what you're saying? And and I guess, and then the other question is a different orb. What about the orb we're on now? This planet, is this planet? I've heard it's going to 5D. So the ones that would be exiting, would be the ones that would they still want to go through the 3D experience more. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Oh, yes, yes, total
Okay.
sense. So, first thing, we're not becoming angels.
Yeah.
When we say that we're going to 5D or New Earth or whatever term
Yeah.
we might use, it means that we are starting a new level. We are starting a new path of work. We're still going to reincarnate here.
Yeah.
We- We're far from graduation,
Sure. Yeah, I
but
don't have
we're
wings yet. I don't have my
yeah, and that's a common mistake because people might say, "Oh no, now I have awakened. Now I don't need to incarnate anymore."
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that because there's a lot of things hidden in our ego
Mm,
that will prove you otherwise.
yeah.
So when you start saying that, "Oh, I don't need to incarnate anymore," that's already a sign that you need to incarnate more.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but let's go to that perspective. When you people that are not aligned with this new Earth vibration will start to move to these other planets. There are planets that they are in the Stone Age. Others they might be in the Bronze Age, and people will start to go through those experiences there again, right, until that planet goes through their planetary transition, and now they have a new chance to to graduate from that class that they're
Yeah.
they're still on, right. um will I be separated from my family?
Mm,
We had many families, right, through our many incarnations. So, our family here on Earth, this is a temporary. Uh, this is something temporary. It's a temporary attachment, if I may say.
yeah.
But maybe you and me, Ron, we're not family, right?
Yeah.
But we might have a link, a spiritual link
Sure.
that comes from, other incarnations. And now we're here working together,
Yeah.
trying to help others, on their path. So is that is that family? You see my point?
Yeah. Yeah. No, in a way, you're right. We only think of the physical family, but we have got
Yep.
these spiritual families.
Yep.
Yeah. Many connections.
So your connection, let's say that you're on you continue on New Earth, and I am so bad. I went to to this other world. You, Ron, that is in a higher vibration, you can always visit me. I
Mm,
will not see you. And that happens a lot around us with our spiritual family.
okay.
So they can go down a step and be here, take care of us, send us good messages, good
Yep.
thoughts. But we that are still so in these, so attached to these lower vibrations, we cannot see them.
Mm,
So the other way around is not true, right? So you would be visiting me and taking good care of me, inspiring me, but I cannot go to you,
I
if
see.
it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Un- Unless, of course, I can evolve and get to that same level or a minimum level where I can say, hey, Ron, long time no see.
And to what you're sharing too is probably very related to channeling because you we would have to have our presence at least enough into to have a connection, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's a very good point. With this planetary transition, one of the symptoms is that the veil between the spiritual realm in our reality starts to get thinner, thinner,
Mm,
and thinner. So a lot of people start to be more intuitive. You don't
yeah.
need to be a channeler, right? But you can feel, you can sense more.
Mm,
And that is that you can sense this spiritual work. For example, you enter a location and something in you says, don't be there,
yeah.
get out, get out.
Mm,
Or you're about to eat a sandwich and something says, don't eat that sandwich.
yep.
You're gonna regret, because it's contaminated, for
Yeah.
example, right? So that sometimes things are subtle, or sometimes things are more intense,
Mm,
right? And that starts to happen a lot in the world in general.
okay.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. So let me just make sure I covered everything that you asked there. But so maybe so going back to this
Yep.
exile movement from Earth, right? So a lot of these spirits will move from here. So the spirits that will stay here, they're not perfect,
Yeah.
but at least they're trying to move forward, right? They're doing a minimum to move forward,
Yeah.
right? And that's what uh, the spirits in the Galactic Federation has been telling over and over through the series is that you don't need to be perfect. You just need to do your baby steps, one
Okay.
baby step at a time. Just make sure you do the movement. You don't stop. You don't stagnate.
And the number one thing would be the practice of love, right? That's what they said.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And love has multiple facets,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we you can do charity, you can
Yes.
smile at someone in the middle of the supermarket, you can just say, "Hey, Ron, that's a nice shirt,"
Yeah.
right? Or you can just be polite with someone on the phone. So there are several ways of loving, and not
Mm,
only saying I love you,
yeah.
that's one part, one facet of love.
But expressions of kindness and other things could be also love. Okay.
All of that, yes. All of that, because if we uh if we're able to and again, if we go to the teachings of Jesus, for example, he came here to say, hey, you gotta not only love whoever you like, but also whoever you dislike, right?
Yeah.
People who do not like you.
Yeah.
So all of that is part of the ongoing school, right?
Well, that makes perfect logical sense because if you're going to heal a planet, you need to get to that point where you can love your neighbor. You can love even what would be your enemy. And that's going to be difficult. That's going to be hard because it's honestly that a lot comes up for people. I mean, the one thing I would be like, what about people who are involved with human trafficking? I mean, I guess the question I would have is like, you wouldn't love the act because nobody would love the act of that.
Mm-hmm.
could you go to the understanding that that person themselves may have been abused severely, or maybe there's the reason behind, or I guess the biggest thing, WL, is, and I don't know if they share this with you, because
Hmm?
I, even as a human, at a certain level, that question about how to hold the space of love for everybody and everything, it still get difficult
Yeah, yeah,
because there's some things that people have done that are really bad stuff. So yeah,
exactly. And that is exactly the point. Going back to what I said, they some people might think that they are now, because they awakened, quote unquote awakened,
yeah.
they don't need to incarnate anymore, right? Because now they think they're perfect. We're far from that. We're really,
I know I got
really
stuff
far
to
from
work on. That's for sure. Yeah.
all of us. Yeah, definitely. And but that's where we are starting the world of regeneration, so we can start rebuilding not only the world but ourselves.
Yeah.
We are now transitioning, the planet is transitioning, but now it's time for us individually to transition,
Mm.
right? So start leaving our bad habits behind and now transition to better habits,
Yeah.
right? And not only because it's fancy or because I want to take a picture and put on Instagram, but because I'm now trying to be a better person,
Yeah.
right? And that's where one thing that is, you mentioned is critical. It's not gonna be easy. It's going to be pretty tough. It's going
Yeah.
to be hard. The world of regeneration, I didn't say that it is paradise,
Mm.
but it is a world of reconstruction, a world where we're gonna have to work a
Yeah.
lot. And the difference is that, well, that work sounds pretty painful. It isn't,
Mm.
because one of the things that we need to learn is to go through all these things and leaving this old feelings, these old facets of ourselves behind
Mhm.
that only brought us pain so far. So when we do charity, when we do something there with our new selves, by our new selves, we do that with love,
Love. Mm.
not pain.
Yeah.
So whatever we face now, we're going to face that more lightly.
Mm.
You see my point?
Yeah.
So if I help someone, I'm not going to say, "Oh my God, I got to help that person," right?
Yeah.
I would just instinctively help that person,
Mm.
without
Yes.
feeling any kind of heaviness on myself, right? And I think that's the key aspect, because they mention us to start doing that, step by step now, because we got to start, doing these baby steps before we start running
Mm.
down the road, right?
Mm.
So one thing, I think the major thing that and now goes to the other question that we mentioned was, how can we go through this planetary transition,
Yeah.
right? First thing is, be true to yourself. So do not try to be someone else,
Mm.
because a lot of times, especially with social media, we look at people on Instagram and say, "Oh my God, I wish I would be there. I wish I would have that person's money. I wish I would have that person's family. I wish," right? But How about yourself?
Yeah.
How about everything that you have, your life, your health? Because there might be people looking at you saying, "Hey, I wish I would be like that. I wish have that money, that you be like you," and it's just things that you do not look at yourself. So we got to be more grateful. We gotta, if we want something, it's not that it's prohibited for you to say, "Oh, I want to do a nice vacation trip." Of course you can. You're not. It's not because of that you're going to another orb. But if you do that, because you saved your money, and you went through a lot of effort, well, that's it. You did it.
Mhm.
Congratulations, right? But don't try to be someone else. Don't try to look, especially at celebrities, right?
Yeah.
That and you think, you imagine their lives, and you don't know what's happening on their head.
Oh yeah.
Everybody thought Robin Williams was a happy guy.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know what's going on inside people's head.
Yep. No, you're right. I remember Jim Carrey saying, "I wish everybody could get everything they always wanted because then they would realize that's not true happiness," or something like that. I remember
Yep,
him sharing that.
exactly.
And so what you're saying is be true to yourself, or the other word that comes up for me is authenticity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Your authentic self. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And at at the moment that you now become authentic, people might judge you.
Mhm.
People might say, "Oh, Ron, you're not the same.
Mhm.
Oh, you changed. Where's the Ron that I knew?" Right?
Yeah.
I mean, well, it is what it is. I am me. I'm a new version. I'm a better version of myself.
Yep.
You cannot just, because someone said something, you will now go back to your old self.
Mm.
It means that you didn't move forward. You just stayed the same place.
Yep.
Right. Um, Also, make sure that you're centered, in the sense that you are respectful. You
Mm.
can hear more than you talk,
Mm.
because the more you hear, you listen to someone, the more you will understand, the more you will be able to talk back politely in a way that that person will understand you, and you have a peaceful conversation. Do not engage into conversations that will lead to nothing, just like I already mentioned before. Um, Whenever you have the the chance, do good, right? And not necessarily, again, people when say, "Oh, you gotta do good, you gotta be do charity." It does. People already think, "Oh, I need money to do good." Not at all. Look at the major examples throughout history: Gandhi, Mother
Yep.
Teresa, right? Jesus, the apostles, all these guys, they did great things without a penny in their
Mm.
pockets, right? So money is not the issue. The comfort zone is the issue, right?
Yes.
So once you decide to move outside of that comfort zone, you don't need to say, "Oh, I'm going to save the world." No. First of all, save yourself.
Yeah.
Be better, and then try to, distribute whatever betterness
Mhm.
you're going throughout, those people that are around you. That's sufficient. If everybody does that, the world would be a paradise.
Mm.
um, Everything we're going back to what I mentioned, that we're going through a world that is changing a lot,
Mm.
day by day, a lot, and navigate that with uh, eyes that are without judgment, with
Okay.
judgmental eyes, without judgmental eyes. So it's not that you don't need to have an opinion. Of course, you do need to have an opinion, but
Yeah.
is that opinion making you a better person, or is just inflating your ego,
Mm.
right? And this is hard for us. This is hard because maybe sometimes we think, oh no, I'm defending this because, I agree with this point of view and blah, blah, blah. But is this really doing something good, or is just inflating your ego because it's saying that you're right?
I see. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. Because the ego wants to be right.
Yep, yep, exactly.
In
So,
WL, the other thing I find is it's like what you're sharing is so true because it's a bit of a paradox. Because if you talk to everybody, they want unity consciousness, but naturally, as humans, we've been conditioned to take sides. And I'm almost like that's where the judgment sometimes comes from
yep,
because I'm naturally I want to belong to something or a community or an organization or a religion or a political party or whatever. That's the nature. You want to be loved, you want to belong to your group, whatever that is. But the moment you get into that identity of that group, there is the opinion that the other side is wrong. so so
and then yeah, that's the duality that we need to step out.
yeah.
We it's not we can't live in dualities anymore,
Hmm.
because if you only have two choices, do you really have a choice?
Yeah.
You see my point?
I see exactly.
Yeah. I mean, so that's why if you don't choose any of those two choices, right or wrong,
Hmm.
left or right or whatever,
Yeah.
and I'm not only talking about politics, I'm talking about everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Like I said, religion. My religion is better than yours. My the book that I read is better than yours.
Hmm.
The movie, the kind of movie that I like is better than what you watch.
Yeah.
All those dualities. I mean, if you disengage from that, you don't inflate your ego anymore.
Hmm.
You don't create friction with someone else. So you are collaborating with the psych sphere that I mentioned with better vibrations. And that is a cycle where things start to getting better and better. So instead of engaging into dualities, why don't I start to do something more constructive, like I said,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that is I think the breaking the duality is crucial, really.
Yeah.
Um, those are, yeah. So the other things they come, we already discussed that emanating good thoughts and vibrations and changing the old habits. Those are all things that we must, if we didn't start doing those, we got to start doing that right now.
Yeah.
We don't need to master those, but little by little, we got to do that kind of internal transformation, right?
Yeah. Well, that makes sense because I'm sure the Galactics teach a lot about human consciousness and how we create our reality. And from everything that you just shared of what they shared with you is right in line with that. Because if you want love in the outer world, the first thing you got to do is you got to be that love yourself. And I'm sure self-love is one of those things. But at the
Yep.
same time, you got to have be conscious of how are you representing yourself or acts of kindness or love that you're sharing outwardly from yourself.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. And like I said, it's not going to be easy,
Yeah,
really. I mean, it's going to be really, really challenging because we're going to confront the person that is the most challenging of all, ourselves.
yeah,
You will start to uncover things that you thought were never there.
yep.
Just like I said, oh, I think I'm enlightened. I think I don't need to reincarnate anymore.
Hmm.
So now you start to peel that onion of ego layer by layer,
Yeah.
and then you start to find something new and say, oh, I need to work on that.
Hmm.
Right. So it is a pretty even though intense journey, it will be very, very rewarding.
Yeah.
Because at the end of this road, things that used to hurt you, sometimes hurt you a lot, they will not hurt you anymore
Hmm.
because you're already over that. You won that battle,
Okay.
right?
There's no energetic attachment to having it to be a certain way. You've released that.
Exactly,
Yep.
exactly. Yeah. Well, one example, I was that happened Saturday, I think,
Uh,
Friday or Saturday. I always I created a kind of a cover, a cushioned cover on my car,
mhm.
protecting it, trying to protect it from hail. So every time I saw in the new on the news that oh there will be hail, near my area or a storm, I would do all this effort to cover my car.
Yeah.
And then on Friday or Saturday or whatever, but this weekend, uh, I knew that there was a storm, but I thought, well, I didn't think there would be hail. Ron, I think that 10 minutes after I started, driving my car with my family inside, there was this huge hailstorm.
Oh no.
It was so intense that we thought that the windshield would break.
Oh boy.
My car is like the surface of the moon now.
Oh my goodness. Don't tell me.
As, and that was funny because I did all that work, to protect my car, and then one single day, that was my trial, and
That's a good example though.
there I was in the middle of that, with all that hail popping from every place.
Yeah.
And I mean, what do I feel about that right now? I mean, I laugh,
Yeah.
and I'm not. I I can say that that's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a car,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's working.
It's
Nobody got
working.
hurt.
Yeah.
We're all safe. There are some dents,
Mm.
right? But I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm good.
Yeah.
So that was good that it happened
Yeah.
because that was a trial that I can say to myself, okay, I can check that off. But
Yeah.
there are many others that I still need to win.
Right. And we don't know exactly what those are and when they're going to happen, but they do.
Hmm. Just like Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, thanks for sharing that. And sorry to hear about your car because, but honestly, that is a good example. That story is that tells us, yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty intense. And that is an example. I mean, if I would be, very attached to my car, maybe I would have a different reaction,
mm,
right? Maybe, and so that's what I said, that there are all these trials. It's not that it is, uh, let's say, karma or uh, God, sending me some learning lesson. I mean, it's just part of the school.
yeah,
I got to go through this to make sure that I'm still centered, right?
yeah,
So, well, people, and like I said, everyone will have something in their lives, to try to touch that open wound that you have.
yes,
Could be a small wound, could be a big one,
yeah,
but something is going to touch that and help you grow. Yeah.
beautifully said. Yeah. Wow. I really appreciate everything you shared today. I mean, this is a lot of information, a lot of good information, a lot of information I feel that will help the listeners, will help humanity. Uh, yeah. Is there any? So first of all, I want to make sure people know about your book. Can you hold up your book again?
Oh, yeah. It's right here. It's called The Forgotten Steps.
Nice. I love it. I love the cover.
Yep. It's book number 14.
Wow.
It has a lot of good stuff. Really, Ron. A
Yeah.
lot. Basically, that there each chapter it is a message either
Yeah.
from the Galactic Federation or spirits, but they're bringing us a reminder that we have forgotten the true teachings of our great master. And
Nice.
they're here to say, hey, we gotta we gotta remember that. We gotta not it's not just going to a church, and say,
Yep.
okay, I ticked off that from my schedule, but you gotta really do more. You gotta be better,
Yeah.
basically. So
I like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
there are a
Yeah.
lot of reminders in that sense. Yeah.
So how can people get that book? Where is it available? On Amazon?
On Amazon, if you like the printed version,
Yep.
like this one, that's on Amazon at production cost.
Nice.
And if people go to uh,
QR code? Yep.
this QR code, that will
Yep.
take you to Google Play,
Nice.
and you can download all the books for free from Google Play.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I mean, like I said, I got the Kindle versions the first time. I'm now going to get this one too. I love having a physical book. I love bending over pages. I also like my Kindle because I can use both the earplugs and I can read as it's also the audio is coming through. And I find that works sometimes really well for me. And also, besides having a huge bookshelf, I've got everything on one device. So, yeah, yeah. No, your material is very good. I really appreciate the last one I was well, the one I'm currently reading now is the science one.
Densha and Anima.
Yep,
Yep.
Yep. I'm reading that one right now. I think that's a great one too.
Yep. This
I'm
one.
look, yeah, yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So to everybody listening, definitely check out W.L. Rodrigues books. I was able to just type your name in Amazon and I found it quickly. So, and thank you for sharing that QR code for people to be able to get access for free through Google as well. Honestly, for what you do, for the value you bring, I I like the fact that I can pay something, number one, as well as yeah, like I said, the convenience of having the book in the hand or a Kindle version is always great. You're on Facebook, I know that. So people can find Spirit Files on
The
Facebook,
Spirits Files.
the
Yep.
Spirits Files, YouTube, the Spirits Files. What else? Is there any other links you want me to
Um,
share?
TikTok.
TikTok?
I basically post the same thing that I post on YouTube.
Okay,
Um, but if you but basically, yeah, I think YouTube is the main page, and Facebook. So everything that goes on. So if, let's say, well, our conversation here, I posted on both social media, so it's always there.
perfect. Well, W.L. Rodriguez, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate what you shared from the Galactic Federation of Flight. It does sound like we're going through some interesting times, but hopefully this message, as the audience hears it, brings some sense, some ease in a way, and a clear understanding that we're all here to make a difference,
Yep,
and we can choose that. And like you said, what they shared is if we choose love, that's probably the best thing that we can do.
exactly. Well, thank you so much, Ron. It was a great pleasure being here with you, with all these amazing people. I look forward for their comments, their questions, and well, let's be better together.
Be better together. Thank you. All right. Thank you, WL.
Thank
Bye.
you.